Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video, we are going to be giving the answers to the AMA Ask Me Anything video. I always look forward to doing this style of video because it allows me to be in a more laid-back style of manner and kind of let my hair down and just answer questions that you guys have submitted to the platform. If you guys remember, a few weeks ago, we done the initial AMA video where I asked you guys to ask me questions to where I would answer them in a follow-up video, and that is what this video is about. Now again, it's been several weeks and I've allowed the questions to generate, and I've got them all copied and pasted here, and I got them printed out in a nice font here. I think it's the basic font that the WordPad has on the computer. You guys have given me 2 pages of questions that I'm going to be answering here in the best way possible over here on this platform. I've had to go and pick up some stuff from the model train and nostalgia room. I've picked some stuff up around the workshop, and I've got it here in front of me on the table saw because you guys asked a lot of informative questions. But I'm going to tell you guys, if you missed the original AMA video, please pause this video and go back and watch that one, because in that video I not only asked you guys to ask me questions about anything, ask me anything as it's intended, but I also give you 10 of the most frequently asked questions, the FAQs, if you guys want to call it that way, to where, you know, I just talked a little bit and give you guys 10 quick answers to 10 of the most common questions that I normally get asked over here on this platform. But I like doing these every couple years or so, every year or so, because people continue to jump on and hop onto the platforms and subscribe to the channel, and I'm so thankful and blessed by that. Again, I say it all the time, thank you all for the continued support over the years and continuing to like, share, follow, and subscribe. It means the world to me, my friends. But I've got several questions here that we got to get through. Again, I don't want to draw the video out entirely too long and bore you guys, but I hope that I give clear and definitive answers to the questions that you guys have asked. So what we're going to do to kick off the AMA questions for 2025, we got one from Ray Scarfield, and I hope I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. I hope I pronounce all the names correctly in this video. And he actually asked this on a different video, not the AMA video, but I felt it would be cool to copy and paste it for this video here. He asked me, what stick fast glue do you prefer, the thin, medium, or thick? Will the same activator work with all 3? Thanks again. You guys know now on the YouTube platform here that I assemble most of the scroll saw projects and stuff I do with medium grade CA glue and activator, and that is what he is asking about the Stick Fast brand here. I picked this up at Klingspor Woodworking Shop. I've got a few bottles lined up back here on the workbench, as well as the activator, because I use it all the time. When I discovered it, it was a game changer, because before I discovered CA glue and started using it, I was using Gorilla Wood Glue. And I still use Gorilla Wood Glue from time to time, depending on what I need it for. You know, if I'm making a panel or something, of course I'm going to go with proper wood glue. I've always used Gorilla Wood Glue since I got back into woodworking in early 2013, and I stand by this. It is a great glue. But then a few years later, I discovered the CA glue at Klingspor Woodworking Shop, and I always pick up a bottle of it and the activator. My mom also uses this for her ceramic applications, you know, when she has to glue in like some lights for a Christmas tree or something like that. But I prefer the medium grade. The thin is basically like water. The medium is kind of a mix between the thin and the thick is just like a goopy gel consistency. But the medium grade is very good with the fine point nozzle there. I can easily put some stuff on a scroll saw project, hold it there for a second while picking up, say, the next piece or a backer board, and put it on without it running down the piece and getting smeared everywhere. And yes, Ray, the activator for Stick Fast will work with the thin, medium, and thick grade CA glues. So I hope that answers that question. I love using the CA glue, and I've got it all over my fingertips before. You know, I just had to peel it away. My buddy Roy in Iowa, he asked 2 questions, and actually they are in the form of kind of like multiple questions, but I'm going to get through both of them. He asked one question one day and came back and asked another one another day, and that was totally cool. I told you guys, ask me anything. But Roy says, love your channel. My question is, what type of hangers do you use on projects? I think you are doing a great job with your videos. Really like your train room and the sightseeing trips you take us on. Thanks for sharing your hobbies. Thank you so much, Roy. So I'm going to answer that question first. The sightseeing tours and the train room and nostalgia room stuff, I want to do more of that stuff, especially now that we're going to get into warmer weather. I would like to look into going some places and documenting them. Remember a couple years ago we done some nature trails, some parks. You know, we went to historic Glencoe, we went to Burlington City Park, we went to historic downtown Burlington. But to answer the question about the hangers, 99% of the time I use these basic sawtooth hangers here. You can get them at most hardware stores. I believe you can pick them up at big box stores, home improvement stores. I get them in bulk off of Amazon, and here they are. This is the actual ones that I use. I got these out of my little parts bins over by the wood stove, and they come with these little tiny, hard to keep track of, little Phillips head screws as opposed to little brad nails, and they have the Phillips head top on them, and they've got kind of a washer made into the screw head to where it won't wobble around. And the ones that I picked up actually came with a little Phillips head screwdriver. Now it's not top of the line quality, keep that in mind. I usually use another Phillips head screwdriver or my Swiss Army knife, you know, to put the screws in with the hangers, but it did come with that. I think I got a box of like, I think it was 100, 150, or maybe even 200 of the hangers, the screws that went with them, and the little screwdriver. I think it was around $10 to $12 in this US currency. So I hope I answered that question, and thank you for the kind words on all of the videos. Again, I love filming and making the creative content that I showcase over here on the platform, and I'm so thankful that you guys enjoy it. Roy then asked another question later on. As I said, he says, hello, I was wondering what music do you listen to while you are scrolling? I have seen you wear a Kiss, the band Kiss, t-shirt, so I think that is one of your favorites. Indeed, they are one of my favorite rock and roll bands. They're not too heavy metal, you know, they're not too soft. They do have some ballads, which I do enjoy just because of the vocals and the lyrics and all, but I did get to see the original 4 members of Kiss on the original farewell tour. I believe that was in 2000, 2001, so I would have been in middle school maybe, but I got to see Peter, Paul, Ace, and Gene in full bombastic Destroyer era Kiss costumes and stage show, and it was one of the best shows. And I don't have, you know, a lot of clear memories of it, but I do remember them playing Rock and Roll All Night, Shout It Out Loud, you know, the classics, because I was just getting into Kiss real big around the time we got to go see that concert. Over here on the corner, back behind the scroll saw, I have an old guitar amplifier, and I've got it wired in to where I can run a classic old school iPod. This is the one that's got the wheel, and I've had it for years. I've actually paid to have a person in town put a new battery in it. You know, they're good with microelectronics, and they have that business for repairing electronics, so got them to put a new battery in it because I love this iPod. It basically goes everywhere I go. When I travel, I've always got music playing. The way, you know, it was kind of, you know, it wasn't a definite rule, but the way it was for us was whoever was driving gets to control the radio. So I always have music of all genres on here. I love oldies but goodies. I have a very old soul when it comes to musical taste, and as I get older, I tend to go farther and farther back in musical history, excuse me, and listen to more and more oldies but goodies. But I love 90s era country. I got to go see Alan Jackson a couple times in concert, country music artist Alan Jackson. I've got to see several beach music bands. Remember, we done the ticket stub collection video, and I talked about a lot of that. I love Michael Bolton. He's probably one of my favorite love song singers just because of his voice and the lyrical content, and probably one of my most favorite artists is Meatloaf, the singer, not the band, and he is one person that I would have loved to have got to see in concert. You guys know when I do the social media stories, I always have music going in here. It's just for copyright purposes. I do not have the music playing during portions like this where I talk to you due to the platform's rules and regulations. But this is an old school iPod. I think it's got around 3,000 songs on it so far, and I'm always looking for more music. I love listening to anime theme songs, and those are Japanese tracks, you know, and I can't understand the lyrical content, but I do love the musical side. I've got some video game soundtracks, some movie soundtracks on here, because sometimes I just like listening to instrumental stuff as opposed to having actual vocal words in the song, if that makes any sense. But this iPod has been with me for several years, and I'm always looking for new music to load onto it. Thank you, Roy, for those questions. Dave Pruitt asked several questions here, He asked 1, 2, 3. He's got them labeled here, so thank you, Dave. 1, good or bad, could you do a video on spiral blades? 2, could you do a video on laser cutters? Is there an ideal size, 10 watt, 40 watt, etc.? 3, love the train stuff. Do you make any of the scenery / structures with your scroll saw, printer, or laser engraver? Also, thanks for all you do. Thank you, Dave, for these questions, and I'm going to get through them all. I have done a couple videos with spiral blades, and I do have them labeled. So if you would type in on the search bar over here on the platform, Artisan Pirate spiral scroll saw blades, those videos will come up. I think I've done 2 of those videos. I know I've done the Santa Claus portrait for one Christmas video one year. It was a H. Bottas, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, scroll saw pattern. And then I've done another one of his designs. It was a father and son fist bump for Father's Day. You know, the father showing the appreciation to the son, and it was their 2 fists doing a fist bump. And I did do those. I think I've done that father-son one with a spiral blade, but I know I've done the Santa Claus portrait with it. Spiral blades are just not my forte. You know, it's just I was taught to use the straight traditional scroll saw blades, and it's ingrained in me when I'm over at the scroll saw to feed into the scroll saw blade, you know, the feed rate and everything. So it's hard for me to get it out of my head, you know, that hey, I have 360-degree capabilities with a spiral blade. So I always catch myself when I do put a spiral blade in the scroll saw to continue to feed into the blade as is tradition, if that makes any sense. I do have several videos out for the laser engraver, and once we get into warmer weather, colder weather is not good for diode laser engravers, which is what I currently have in the laser enclosure back over here behind the camera near the wood stove. It is a longer Ray 5 20 watt laser engraver, and it has pretty much done everything I have asked it to do. I have done some maintenance on it, you know, keeping it clean, changing the belt on it, you know, because again, the colder weather can be detrimental, I think that's the proper term, for the motors, for the diode laser head, you know, as well as the belts. If it gets too cold in your area, you know, they can get brittle and everything. So I'm looking forward to the warmer weather to where I can use and make hopefully more creative laser content. As far as what is the ideal size, the one I have is basically doing everything I asked it to. As I said, I think it's around it's a 14 or 15 inch square bed, and it is a 20 watt laser, but I feel if you are wanting to take the dive and jump into laser engravers, I think a 10 watt laser engraver would be the best route to go for, just to test it out to see if you really like doing laser stuff instead of, you know, spending all that money on a more high-end laser. Of course, the more high-end lasers are going to be able to do more stuff, and they're going to be able to do it quicker and with less passes. Keep in mind, with a 10 watt laser, it normally takes me 2 passes to cut through the thin 1/4 inch material I like to use over on the laser, and with the longer Ray 5 20 watt laser, I can usually cut it out in one single pass, of course with air assist on. And of course with laser engravers, you need to invest in the laser enclosure, proper dust extraction and fume extraction for it, as well as have a dedicated computer to run the laser. I know some of them are now able to be ran off of phone apps and everything, but I do so much stuff on my phone when I'm out here in the workshop, either filming a tip over at the scroll saw, filming a preview of a future video, or just showcasing something that I've made out here. So I like having the dedicated laptop connected to the laser, if that makes any sense. Love the train stuff. Do you make any of the scenery or structures? I haven't made anything with the laser or the scroll saw. I believe Steve Good, the scroll saw pattern maker, you guys know I use a lot of his patterns, he said in a previous post over on his blog, I think it was a couple years ago, around the time I was getting back into model trains and model railroading, that he wanted to design some patterns to be cut out over on the scroll saw. Now, as far as I know, I check his pattern blog posts daily because I love all the work he does for the scroll saw woodworking community. I check his website daily for the new patterns he's got to get ideas for future scroll saw project videos. As of right now, I do not believe he has posted any of the stuff for model trains. I might have missed it, you know, but yes, I have made stuff with my 3D printers. I have a longer LK4 and a longer LK4X 3D printer, and I also have the basic Ender 3 3D printer, but I only ever have 2 of them set up at one time because I do some 3D printing stuff for friends and family members as well. But here is one of the original designs I made. It's not the original design I made, but I made this HO scale church. I printed it in white PLA filament. I believe I printed this one out of Hatchbox. I have since switched to the Sunlu 3D printer filament, and it does great. It prints at a great quality. But all of these pieces were individual. Each window, the roof, the little cross up there, all of the windows, the base, the walls, all of those are individual pieces that had to print, and then I had to paint them and glue them all together. And I went to my mom, and she had these church windows here, if you can see them. So if I'd put a light in there, they would glow like stained glass, like in a church. So thank you, Mom, for giving me that little sheet that I could cut up and then glue into all of the windows. And of course, I never paint the bottom because they sit there. But what I love about these buildings, they do have that open space underneath them to where you can put a light fixture if you want to illuminate them. Like if you were going to run your trains and have a nighttime mode, if that makes any sense. But this is the HO scale size. That is what I like to run. It's what I pretty much have room to run, you know, on my model train table in the model train and nostalgia room. But there is a church, and then I picked up another one because I really love how this came out. When I made that little church I just showed you, I wasn't as familiar with the model building side of things as I was, but as I got more and more familiar with it and got more comfortable and skills under my belt, I made this HO scale size lumber yard. And this lumber yard and the church behind me, the files for those are found on Thingiverse, which is a 3D printing website. But here we have the lumber yard, and over here you have a little radial arm saw, a stack of pallets. You guys know I like to use pallet wood from time to time. It's what I've done 3 of the 4 walls in the model train and nostalgia room with. But what I like is the roof can open, and I took some offcuts off of it, and I made some exotic and woods up there, you know, like for exotic woods, I've got purple heart, I've got oak, I've got cedar, I think I've got poplar, there's walnut in there, you know, and then on the bottom I've just got some popsicle sticks, cut up to represent dimensional lumber, you know, like 2x4s, 2x6s, sheets of plywood. So the upstairs has the nice textured woods and everything, and the bottom has the basic construction grade lumber. And I never glued the roof on because I like that you can open it and see down in it. I've always toyed with the idea of putting an LED in there and wiring it under the train table, you know, to where it could illuminate all of the woods in there in the lumber yard. But yes, I do make stuff on there, but I have yet to make anything on the laser engraver or the 3D printer, or the scroll saw, All right, and thank you for all you do. Thank you, Dave, for those questions. I really appreciate it. Ramon_Ramon asked, I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly again, big fan of the channel. Prior to YouTube, what are some jobs that you've had in the past? Very good question, my friend. For the longest time, I was at the local Boys and Girls Club. I was a person that was a program assistant. That was what it was called, what I was. And you know, you could easily be slotted into the homework room, the outside at the playground area, up on the field throwing the football, in the gym shooting basketball, or just things like that. And I love that, and I have so many memories, and I always speak fondly of it. The Boys and Girls Club helped me with a lot of my communicative skills because I did the front desk for a while, and you know, that's interacting with all sorts of people. So prior to that, I was very, I don't know if it's introverted or extroverted, I was very closed-shelled, you know. I done me, you know. I just, you know, I didn't do a lot of extracurricular stuff where I went out and about and talk to people. I like playing my video games. I like being at home. I'm definitely a homebody. You know, I do like to travel, but 9 times out of 10, I'd rather be at home. You know, it's just in my nature, you know, how I like to be. So the Boys and Girls Club, when I was there, it really helped me come out of my shell and be more open to the world. And you know, we went on field trips, we went to so many different places, and I'm so thankful for all the skills that I learned there. You know, communicative skills, interacting with the public, you know, speaking terms when we had like a group chat, you know, you had to stand in front of everybody. And that's still something I get nervous doing, you know, having to stand in front of a crowd. I'm so comfortable standing here in front of the camera because it's just me, myself, and I and the camera, and I'm talking to you guys. I'm totally comfortable with that. But you know, still get nervous when I have to stand up in front of a crowd of 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 people, whatever the case may be, and then, you know, go and enjoy that and everything to be able to teach people. But now that I'm doing the live scroll saw demos, I've become even more comfortable with that. But that was what I'd done prior to that. I was at the Boys and Girls Club, and then from time to time I helped my aunt, my mom's sister, with some of her house cleaning business. She has a house cleaning service, you know, where she goes around and clean houses, and I helped her with that from time to time. But then, you know, I decided to try YouTube, and here I have been. I think it's coming up on 10 years that I've been here, and time has just went by so quickly. I'll stand out here and I'll be like, wow, has that much time really went by? So I hope that answers that question. Mike Weaver asked, how can I schedule a time to come visit your workshop and have a chance to meet you face to face? That would be up to you, my friend. You just have to reach out to me through social media. Again, links to contact me is always going to be linked down below these videos in the description box below each and every video I post over here on the platform, to where you guys can reach out to me via email, through social media, private messages, or things like that. Just get in touch with me. And that is one reason also why I like to stay ahead, with Scroll Saw project videos, filming the content for you guys. That way I can take a break and meet up with someone, meet up with a family member to have lunch with, a friend to have lunch with, go out and about, to film additional out and about content once the weather gets warmer, and hopefully again showcase some more places around town or even out of town. But yeah, just reach out to me through social media and I will be happy to hopefully be able to schedule a time. But keep in mind, doing this on this platform, it does take up a big chunk of time. But once the weather breaks and we get into warmer weather, hopefully I can be out here a lot more making creative content for hopefully for you guys to view and enjoy. I hope that answers that question. Fowler's Woodshed said, man, awesome videos. Thank you for that, my friend. Have you ever thought about doing off-the-wall projects like I do lamps cut from my Win 21-inch scroll saw? How is that Win scroll saw, my friend? I've seen it posted. I think Steve Good done an initial review on it. I've seen that more tool companies are making the more bigger and finer and robust scroll saws, so I'm eager to hear what their opinions are of those scroll saws. But off-the-wall content, not really. I don't really plan to do that. I'm kind of happy with what I'm doing, but if the occasion should arise to where I can do some off-the-wall stuff, more the merrier. I'd be more than happy to film that and document it and showcase it over here on the platform if that's something you guys, my followers and subscribers and viewers, would like to see. Just let me know. I'm sorry I can't answer that question a little more in depth. The kind of off-the-wall project I done last year, and I didn't even film it, was making this little, it's an old lamp with a cast iron base. It weighs about 20 pounds. It's got this mount on it to where I can really get into little nooks and crannies. And if you guys want to see when I make stuff like this, what I like to document, the trial and error process of making something like this to where it works for filming capabilities out here in the workshop. Let's see. Wayland Gamble 625 asks, what brand or brands of scroll saw blades do you recommend? What type and sizes? I'm new to scrolling and like your videos. They are very entertaining and informative. I also collect the HO scale model trains. So thank you for that, Wayland. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. The scroll saw blades I use 99.9% of the time is a number 5 ultra reverse scroll saw blade, and that is how scroll saw blades are labeled. 1 being the smallest, and as you go through each number, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they get a little more thicker and durable. Number 5 is, for me, the sweet spot, and I can even do some compound cutting with a number 5 blade, even though it will say on the charts that a number 5 blade can only cut up to 3/4 inch in thickness, but I have cut an inch and a half with the number 5 blades. That's why I always reiterate in every one of my videos. I know sometimes I sound like a broken record, that I like to take my time and let the blade do the work. That is very important. But the brand that I use and I'm very familiar with is called Sharp Tooth brand. Here is a tube of them. I've got a little blade storage caddy off to the left side of the scroll saw, and as you see there, hopefully it comes up, number 5 ultra reverse. These are very thin and minute blades, and it always amazes me that this little blade here that hopefully comes up on camera creates so many amazing and versatile designs over at the scroll saw. But you can get these in bulk, and I don't know, I haven't ordered them in a while because my buddy Robert, he surprised me one year with a bulk order of the number 5 reverse tooth, ultra reverse tooth blades, so thank you for that, my friend. But here is the catalog I got them off of, and you can get all shapes and sizes, and there you see pictures of the individual blades. And this company here is called Scroller, and the reason I say I don't know if they're around no more because I don't get the catalogs anymore. I will have to do a search later on to see, because I do need to order some more scroll saw blades. But there you see the cover. I used to get these catalogs in the mail. I think it was quarterly. They would send them out with new patterns for seasonal stuff, and everything. And then they always had the order form for the sharp tooth blades here. But that is the brand that I like to use. Now, I've also used the Pegasus scroll saw blades that Kling's Forward Woodworking Shop uses and stocks, and they are just as good as the shark tooth blades. I've had phenomenal results with the Pegasus blades. If I'm cutting out a puzzle over at the scroll saw, I'll go down to maybe a number 2 blade, you know, because you need, with a puzzle with that nature, for them to interlock, you know, tightly over once you get everything cut out over on the scroll saw. So, and with compound cutting, with some of the more thicker and more robust compound cuts, I will go up to a 10 or 12 blades, and those blades really show, you know, they're thicker, they're more robust, as I said. So hopefully that answers those questions. If you have any more questions about scroll saw blades, please let me know. And I did do a video on scroll saw blades that is a previous video over here on the platform. Thank you for that, my friend. And he said he also collects HO scale trains. HO scale is this size here, so you can see that it goes well with the HO scale church. You know, it's kind of life size. That is about the size that this diesel Santa Fe engine, my original HO scale train from childhood, it would look very lifelike by the church there. Now up at the Mebane train display, they use the O scale trains, and that is bigger. That is actually what HO stands for. HO scale is half O scale. This is O scale. This is my original childhood Lionel train, and you can see the size differential there. And I've also got the tender for the steam engine, and this was my childhood train that I fixed up, but this is the size, there's the train and the tender that we run up at the Mebane train display in Mebane, North Carolina. But I hope, my friend, that your scrolling journey is fun. Again, scroll sawing is so therapeutic to me, and I'm still enjoying it even as I get older. It's where I think I do some of my best thinking, because I've done it so much that I can zone out. We have a few more questions here, and it says it's L.N-TY5DC. That is the username. They say, really enjoy your videos. What is a woodworking tool or craft you don't have a lot of experience with, but you would like to find time to try? There's so many forms. I would love to try carving. But if I was pressed to ask, like right off the top of my head, or quickly ask what would I like to step up my skill set on, it would of course be the lathe. I have so many talented friends over on the lathe. My buddies Jerry Meismer, who turns the wooden cowboy hats on the lathe, which is a phenomenal process to watch. My buddy Sam, who hangs out with me and has taught me so much with the laser engravers and 3D printers and wood turning. He showed me, he came down to the shop from his place in Roxburgh, North Carolina. He's a very dear friend of mine. He taught me how to turn a basic bowl, and before all of that, I did know how to turn like a basic cup or goblet. Here is something that I turned in January of 2019. This was a blank I milled together, and this, I called it a checkerboard goblet, and I've got just a basic Win 8-inch by 12-inch pin turning lathe, and I've maximized it by making little projects like this. And I glued up with the Gorilla Wood Glue, as I mentioned earlier, some cedar and spruce strips. So I call it the checkerboard goblet, because if you look at the top or the base there, it looks like a checkerboard, but it came out great, and I finished it with Rust-Oleum clear gloss and everything. And then of course I've also turned some slimline ink pens. This one was made out of a piece of free scrap zebra wood I picked up at the hardwood store, and I finished it with beeswax. Of course, by then, you know, a few years later, when I wanted to try pens, I learned how to use beeswax as a finishing technique. But yeah, the lathe would be one thing I would really love to step up my skill set on, because with the small lathe I have, and with the mess all lathes make, you know, throwing the sawdust everywhere, I could potentially set the lathe up outside, you know, on a nice spring or summer day, and turn a little cup or something out in the yard and not have to worry about the sawdust and shavings getting everywhere. I do not have any type of proper dust collection connected to any of my tools except the table saw. I do have a nice shop vac connected to it, and I have the dust extraction connected to the laser engraver. Had to think there for a second. And I do have an air filtration unit hung up above the roof of the workshop. You know, it's one of those Win ones with the power settings you change the filters out of. So I'm always trying to be aware of the sawdust accumulation out here, and I always take time to clean it up from time to time and keep the air quality to the best of its ability out here in the workshop. And of course I wear a dust mask when I'm over at the scroll saw, or I'm doing something where I'm sanding some fine sawdust and everything. And if you guys are curious, right now my buddy Sam actually gave me this. Right now I am wearing the RZ mask. These are, I believe, available at Klingsboro Woodworking Shop. They have these filters that you change out to keep, you know, keep all of the fine dust particles away from your lungs and everything. But yeah, the lathe is something that I would love to try. Ramon asked again, he asked the previous question, so thank you for coming back and asking another one. Again, I love when you guys ask me anything, because I just love just sharing everything on here with you guys, you know, to an extent. You know, I try to be as transparent with you guys as possible. But he asked, what were your top 3 professional wrestlers as a kid, in no particular order? Looking forward to the AMA. I hope the AMA is justified here and you really enjoy it, my friend. Top 3 wrestlers right off the top of my head. When I first got into watching wrestling, it was during what is called the second boom period with WCW and WWF at the time, WWE nowadays. But it was during the Attitude Era, and the character I was drawn to, again, I always kept to myself, as I said earlier, you know, and I was always kind of a very shy, very quiet boy growing up. You know, I didn't really go out of my way to talk to anyone. I did have some close-knit friends that I was thankful to have growing up. But I really liked the Kane character because he had the black and red mask, you know, the black and red outfit on, and his backstory was just so mysterious. So Kane is one that I really like. And then also I like the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. I've got to meet both of them. I got to meet Kane when I was real little. He was actually doing an autograph signing up the road in Eden, North Carolina, about 45 minutes away. There used to be a pro wrestling store up there, and after school one day, my mom and my grandma surprised me, and they took me up there to meet Kane, and I got his autograph on a poster that I have up there. It's covered in sawdust now, but it's above the scroll saw on that workbench where I have stuff displayed. And I've got to meet Matt and Jeff Hardy, got to get pictures made with them, and got to get their autographs and just hang out with them. And the third, I would probably like Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair. So that's 4. Well, that's 5 with the Hardy Boys. They're a tag team. But Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan did so much for the wrestling industry to bring it into the mainstream in pop culture eyes. And you guys know I love nostalgia and history and everything. So their historical significance in the world of professional wrestling landscape cannot be understated. And Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair are 2 wrestlers that I would actually love to meet at like a Comic-Con or a convention, like at a wrestling show or something, just because of the nostalgia aspect. You guys know Hulk Hogan, it was Hulkamania running wild, and Ric Flair was a kiss-stealing, wheeling, jet-flying, limousine-riding, you know, person, you know, the styling and profiling person. So yeah, professional wrestling played a huge part of my childhood, and I always look forward to watching it, and I still to this day keep up with the highlights, especially around WrestleMania season in the spring, because I'm always curious just to see what legends will come back to take part in the yearly biggest show of the year, which is WrestleMania. Brian Raining asked, I like your videos. My question is, can you show how to make frames for your work? I ask because I always make big mistakes trying to make them, and thank you. Actually, yes, I do have a video on making frames. It was back on my old Cobalt table saw. If you guys want to watch how I made that video, I make them in a very unorthodox manner. And here is one that I made during the Christmas season, and you can see how tight the miters are. And basically what I do, this is a rust beard scroll saw pattern, and this was an advanced pattern that I've done in my free time, and I stack cut and made 2 of them. I made one as a Christmas gift to my a family member. Then I made one for myself to keep and hang on the scroll saw display wall. But the way I make picture frames has always came out nice and crisp, and I run both sides, both strips of material through the table saw at one time on a 45 degrees. So I hope that answers that question. My buddy Jason, who is a constant commenter over on YouTube, said thank you for all the support and always commenting. Where do you buy scroll saw patterns? Scroll saw patterns can be bought everywhere, my friends. They can be bought in the Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine by Fox Travel Publishing. You can get old back issues of Creative Woodworks and Crafts magazines, and I wish that magazine was still around, but you can get back issues off of places like eBay and places like that, and there's just so many books. But yes, from time to time, I will buy scroll saw patterns, especially if it's something that I see would be a teachable pattern over here on the platform. My buddy Dave asked, do you sell any of the projects you make? And if so, what platforms do you use to sell them? Great videos. I love watching all of them. So thank you, Dave, for the support. And I basically make the compound cut keychains. I will occasionally take a custom order for you guys, you know, to make something, you know, if I've got some free time, if I'm far enough ahead on scroll saw and filming content out here. But 99% of the time, everything goes up on the scroll saw display wall, or I pass it along to a loved one or a family member. And sites like Etsy just don't do it for me, or selling sites like eBay. You know, word of mouth travels far on the social media platforms. That's why I tag everyone when I do a post over on social media. But yeah, I still make, and I will take orders for the custom compound cut keychains. So I hope that answers that questions. We've got 2 more questions left. Anthony asked, what is your opinion of using water-based stains? And I actually, unfortunately, do not have an opinion, because the main stains that I use are the Minwax oil-based wood stains. They've always produced phenomenal results for me. This is the Golden Pecan as some call it, stain, and I like this stain because it gives a piece of material a splash of color, but it's not dark enough to mask off the natural grain textures of the material you are staining, like say 1/4-inch plywood or pine. It still allows those grain textures to shine through. But this is my go-to here, this Minwax. This is the lighter shade I use, and then I use a darker shade, and the darker shade is dark walnut. So if I want to compare and contrast and have different colors in a piece, like a layer design, I will use those 2 colors, and then of course I will use Rust-Oleum spray paint and Rust-Oleum clear gloss to finish a project. But unfortunately, I'm sorry, I do not have any opinions of water-based stains, so I do apologize for that. But I have seen people use them on social media and on this platform for projects, and they've all came out well, so I'm sure they are a phenomenal water-based stains out there that you can use. And then it says, hanging out with Rowan Walters. I have a small shed that I do my woodworking in. What, with all of the sawdust in the air, we've spoke about that already, is it safe to have a heater there? As you can see behind me, I have a heater here, I have a heater over here by the scroll saw to keep my hands warm, and I have the wood stove out here. This workshop is 12 foot wide by 24 foot long, and so far, you know, I have not had any issue. Of course, I try to keep the sawdust cleaned up, and anytime I have the wood stove on, I'm always aware of everything, you know, the heat generated and, you know, the ashes and things like that. I try to be as safe as possible out here. But as far as I know, it's safe to use a little heater out here. I have one over by the scroll saw, and, you know, it has the dust blower that will blow everything there. So I hope that answers that question. You know, it is, I guess, don't hold my, you know, hold me to this, but I guess it is safe to use little heaters depending on how small your shop is. So please be aware of that. Again, this shop is 12 foot wide by 24 foot long, and you know, you just have to be careful when you do things like that, and always stay in the workshop or next to it and nearby. You know, of course, I know people have to go and use the restroom and everything and then come back if they don't have a restroom in their shop. I don't have a restroom out here, but always be aware of the heat generated from heaters and wood stoves. That is what I'm trying to get across here. But I hope you find a way to heat your small workshop, because it does get cold. We are in the cooler months here as I'm filming this video for you guys. It is cool out in the workshop. That is why the heaters are on behind me. But that's going to wrap it up for the AMA 2025 questions, and I hope you guys have appreciated all the answers. I hope I've given justifiable answers for you guys, you know. And again, I always enjoy doing these videos, and I'll probably come back here in maybe another year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and we will do another one as more people continue to hop on and follow along on the journey. And once again, I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for continuing to like, share, follow, and subscribe to all of the comments, all of the social media feeds, the video platform of YouTube here, you know, just, you know, Instagram, all of that stuff. Thank you guys for the continued support. It humbles me extremely, and I am extremely blessed, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you guys, and I'm thankful for all of the questions that you have asked in today's AMA video. And again, I hope all the answers have been to your guys' satisfaction. But that's going to about wrap it up out here. I've got to put all of this stuff away that I got out to show on camera today, but it has been a great day out here in the workshop answering these questions, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If it happens to be your first time over here on the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you guys. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.